Hello, everyone, and welcome to my weekly meltdowns coverage of Big Brother 23 Sunday night spoiler show. I'm your host, Allison S. Kelly, and with me, as always, is Tyler at T Lions and Andrew the Hustler. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing this evening?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited to talk all things the cookout coming up and everything like that. Me and Andrew started running through scenarios for this week in Messenger earlier today, and I was like, wait, we gotta hold it for the show because there's a million what ifs that we can break down and everything. Very complicated week, and I can't wait to talk about it all.
And hello to Brandon Wu and Joseph Boza in the chat and the 9 other people watching. Welcome.
All 9 of you are amazing people.
Yes, we love you.
Yes, we do.
So Tiffany won HOH. And it has been a roller coaster of a week, which we'll get into once we get into spoilers and everything like that. But the big highlight of the episode was it came down to Kyland versus Tiffany in this HOH, and Tiffany, she said listen, I would rather be in control of this week than have Kyland have the power. And it's not looking so good.
It's hard to talk about that yet. So it's very hard to break that statement down.
Yes.
From a pre-veto ceremony and from everything that we know now and what we don't know, it's very hard to talk about that. So I'm going to table my opinion on that.
Yes.
Until we get into spoilers.
Well, I thought the show did a good job of outlining listen, from everybody's understanding in the cookout, once it got to this point in the game where you and only one other person had your outside person still in the game, just don't win that HOH so that you don't have to be the one sending your person out the door. And so that's why people were frustrated that it came down to Kyland and Tiffany just doesn't drop for Kyland, right? Because he would have every reason outside of the cookout even being a thing to nominate Claire and Tiffany together, considering they took out his partner Sarah Beth last week. So in the eyes of Claire, in the eyes of Alyssa, it would make sense to them on a game level. What are you laughing at, Andrew?
I got a comment.
Andrew has a drinking problem. Okay, thanks for pointing it out, Brandon Wu.
Also, I want to say happy birthday to Pokemon, one of our loyal fans that always joins us. He told us it's his birthday today, so happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday, Pokemon. Sorry, I called you Poemon in the chat.
Pomon.
Yeah, I don't know.
But so it's caused a lot of just underlying dissension between members in the cookout. I feel we saw a lot of Azah tonight in particular asking everybody that came into that back room, so what did you think about Tiffany winning that HOH? And we're total 180 to last week where everybody was just shuffling in to do those one-on-ones with Tiffany in the Coral Reef room. I feel everybody's now I don't know about this one.
Yeah, it's
Do you think that that's partly because people are looking for a reason right now? They know the cookout's about to be the only thing left, so they're trying to figure out this pecking order and how they can make sure they're not in the pecking order. So using this is not necessarily something that Tiffany necessarily did horribly, horribly bad. I think that it was, but is it more people just pointing out these little things to check boxes for once the cookout has to turn?
Well, because Kyland's been in such hot water, within the Cookout Alliance over, is he more loyal to Sarah Beth or is he more loyal to the Cookout? I feel this alliance in particular is very sensitive to, any, signs of distrust, steering away from the cause, steering away from the alliance. And Tiffany winning HOH and therefore saying, listen, I kind of want Claire to be the last person outside of the cookout to still be there. That raises people's eyebrows a little bit, and it's not a good look, especially when she was the one that just won HOH this past week. And it's very a weird feeling to have HOH 2 weeks in a row in the Big Brother house. So I feel it kind of sours people's opinions on Tiffany and power. I mean, we saw tonight that when she had her HOH room reveal, Derek F was I don't need to stay up here. I saw this last week.
I love that. Like, I know I'm just gonna go. I know how this
Yeah.
plays out. I love Derek. Derek don't care. There's no Beyonce on her playlist this week. He doesn't. He's defeated.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't. I'm a big boy, and it's interfering with me winning competitions, and I felt bad for him. I mean, I know he's really trying, and he really wants to win.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out that, even the elephant during the competition ran out of bubbles and it was done. And Kyland, right before he fell, if you go back and watch, he hit the elephant and the one remaining bubble dropped out of the elephant's ass. And I had to rewind it. That's what I'm paying attention to at this point. Okay. This is where Allison's head's at, staring at elephant's butthole. That's where I am.
Yeah. As soon as I saw the bubbles coming out of the elephant's butt and Azah commenting on it, I was like, okay, this is going to be right up Allison's alley.
It's, that's what us boomers do, Tyler.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know us old folk.
Pokemon throwing the shade.
What did he say?
I do think Derek F might be the worst player I've seen since Annalise.
Oh, Pokemon, I know it's your birthday, but he's not that bad. I mean, Annalise was more concerned with how her blowjob technique was going down in the bathroom than actually playing. Do you like it better with the stool or without the stool? Tell me, Jack, whatever. I'm just telling it like it is. I don't give a shit. I'm tired and I don't feel good. It's Sunday night. Blow me. So that's just where Annalise was. Derek F is really trying to play the game. You know what I mean?
Totally. And he knows about like the alliance structure. So like as much as I like shit on Derek F's like gameplay, like he is like a step above like the Annalises. And that's the beauty of this season is that we don't have like anybody in this cast as like an Annalise.
He does. She said, I do think Annalise is worse. Just okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so we saw Kyland ultimately drop, and the first thing he says to Tiffany is actions over words. And
I saw that too after the bubble.
Not good. And then also not good. I feel like this whole episode has aged like milk in terms of it's real stinky just a few days later.
I know.
We know what we know, which we'll get into. But I mean, Claire's DR is like she's saying like I don't need a man in this house because I have Tiffany. I feel so great this week. I was the outgoing HOH and I kept Tiffany's noms the same, and I'm so happy about that.
Listen, and your brain, well, let's go ahead and go into spoilers. Okay, guys, I know we're only 8 minutes into this show, but we have so much to cover as far as what has unfolded this week. I apologize. Go ahead and, tune out and come back at 8 minutes and 48 seconds. Anyway, so hearing Claire say all this stuff just makes my stomach hurt because but other reasons, but it really bothered me because I was like, man, she has no idea what is coming today or what happened today because what happened today on the live feeds.
So Andrew, what happened today? Go ahead.
What happened on live
feeds? I want to make a blanket statement here.
Okay.
That I kind of want to go back a little bit for.
Sure.
When people enter the Big Brother house, no matter who it is, no matter what it's for, no matter what, I believe that these people have at least at minimum 2 goals. Okay. The first goal is to win the game, right? But I feel like everyone always has a secondary goal. For some people like Jeff, it might have been a showmance, and that could have developed even later. For some people, we know it's been product placement and product development. For some people, it's been them trying to get famous. For some people, it is multiple reasons. For Dick, at one point in time, it was even rekindling a relationship with his daughter, right? So I believe that when you play the game, you have 2 goals. One goal is to win, and the other is something else. At some point in the game, most people are going to have to decide where they weigh their 2 goals. Is winning the game to me more important than a relationship that I'm building with Jordan, than building my relationship with Danielle? At what point in time am I going to weigh these 2 goals? This week, Tiffany is having to weigh her 2 goals. Can I win this game? Or can I help the message that I'm trying to get across as an African American in this game? And
she didn't have to.
In my
She
opinion,
didn't have to weigh these options this week. But
she
go ahead,
didn't by
Andrew.
throwing the competition. But somebody, Xavier, could have had that same goal this specific week. And so, do I win or do I do this? The actions that Tiffany is saying this week says at this point in time, she does not care if she wins anymore. The message is bigger than the victory. And I truly believe that is the case this week for her. And I truly feel that she is playing a great game for 1 goal, and she has crapped away the other one. I see 0 shot for Tiffany to win this game after this week.
Yeah. So to fill anybody in that is unspoiled and is still with us for some reason, so Alyssa has won the power of veto. Ironically, it's the tiny veto that shook up a lot of shit in Big Brother 22 last year. So the tiny veto is on a roll in terms of like stirring up the house and causing something interesting. So that might be a trend or like a curse to look forward to in the following seasons. But yeah, so this is like worst case scenario in every single way for Tiffany. And this is why like everybody in the cookout was so like having like question marks above their head, like wondering why Tiffany won HOH tonight and why she was willing to win HOH. It's because of this exact situation, right? So now Tiffany is in this unique spot that nobody else in the cookout has had to do. Like we've seen like Kyland in the diary room be like, oh yeah, I'm willing to take Sarah Beth out. Hannah in the diary room, I'm willing to take Derek X out, but never having like that blood directly on your hands, as we are going to see here. So Tiffany basically has to decide right here, am I going to put up Claire, my like number one outside of the cookout, somebody who's been so good to me, somebody who's literally singing my praises in the diary room as we saw tonight, somebody who doesn't see it coming at all, or are we staying loyal to the cookout? And ultimately we are sticking with the cookout, it looks like. And it's just such a tough position for her game, because it really is lose in a very like obvious way. But I feel like looking back at like what we were saying last week about Tiffany, we were like, yes, you go girl, like perfect HOH, great job. And it was like Claire even did her same nominations as an anonymous HOH, right? And Tiffany was really like girl strong, like telling Hannah, we can do this, telling Claire, we can do this. So I feel like from like even like a women's perspective, like it just goes against like what she's been trying to rally in this past week. And I will also say Xavier is one lucky son of a bitch, because he needed this so badly. And he got it to no credit of his own. So I still think that Xavier is winning this game. I was a little unsure last week, but I'm still moving forward with that.
Someone had mentioned in the chat, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it is. Can we talk about how much Xavier is whining on the feeds? Is he whining a lot?
Yeah. So we saw a little bit of it on the show in terms of like, listen, like I'm tired of like, he named Kyland and Tiffany in particular as people in the cookout who are being like very selfish above like the interest of the cookout. Meanwhile, Xavier has sat on the block 3 weeks in a row now. So it's frustrating that he's just like, give. Even pre-jury, like Christian had to go, Whitney had to go. Like these are people Xavier was really, really tight with and gave up for the cookout. And then seeing Tiffany like be a little selfish and try to keep Claire around. Like, yes, it didn't work out for her, but like they didn't know that at the time of HOH.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm back to what Tyler was saying a couple of weeks ago. I think I have the final 2. I truly think that is a direction that this could head. But I mean, we'll see. Azah, I think, has played better this week than she's played any week before. I think that the little things that Azah's done, the little moves that Azah's making, even Azah almost appealing to Claire from a jury standpoint for a little bit at certain points this week. I think that Azah is starting to play a great game, and do not count Azah out.
Do you think that Azah has a chance to win, though, is my question.
Yeah, for sure.
What does Azah's path to the end look like?
I think I'm going to say this straight up. I think anybody right now has a chance to win. I truly believe that anybody left in this game, barring maybe Alyssa, and that is assuming that Claire is going this week, has a shot to win for sure. I think even Derek F has a shot if he sits next to the right person. I think we could see a better jury play out right there if he's sitting next to a Tiff, something like that. I really, truly think. I truly believe that Tiff has zero shot at winning this game. So I think Azah's path to the end is sitting next to a Derek F. I think Azah's chance to the win sitting next to a Kyland. I think Azah's got a shot. I think sitting next to a Tiff, Azah's got a shot. The only place Azah loses for sure pretty significantly is Xavier, and then Hannah. I think that she would lose.
Yeah. So how you feel about Azah, Andrew, is like how I feel about Hannah. Like to me, like her winner's equity is the one that just like keeps rising. And I think I've read somewhere that like if she were to win this season, her and like I think Dr. Will's like the only other person that hasn't won HOH by this time in their winning season in terms of like weeks. So if Hannah just keeps playing this like very under the radar game, like doing like the middle between like the girls and Xavier and Kyland and all that stuff, I feel like nobody is looking at Hannah as like an immediate threat, and she's like planting little seeds. And there was like one part that like in the show tonight that really caught my eye. So like Azah asked Hannah like, what do you think about Tiffany winning that HOH? And she says, it tells me Tiffany didn't want Kyland to win, which I think is like such a perfect answer because it's like pitting the two of them against each other. It's giving Azah like a little bit of information that she probably won't do much with, but like it like builds like loyalty with her. Meanwhile, Hannah is still like very tight to Tiffany. I feel like Kyland and Xavier would take her to the end, like thinking that they could probably beat her. I'm not sure about that. I think she could win against them. Thank you, Pokemon. Jordan didn't win HOH until Final 7. Jordan was actually the other person I had in mind is like, maybe. But
I truly think that from the story arc and the story perspective, I think Hannah winning would be the greatest story. And here's my reasoning on that. Hannah would not only be the first African American to win, she'd be the first Indian to win too, because she's half in that. And so when we're really looking at a story of diversity and cultural inclusion and this new era of Big Brother with this casting requirements on all of that, I think her winning this season would be a great opening for that because of the dynamics of her diversity and in that regards. Yeah.
So it's just like I'm just so like baffled at like how badly this week has gone for Tiffany. What do you think about it, Allison?
Well, she told Claire, Alyssa won the power of veto. What was the veto competition?
The tiny veto.
The tiny veto. What is the tiny veto again?
The one that Davon won last season, where they had to like stack like the very little cans, but like if you like moved a little bit, everything would fall. Basically, like Operation.
Okay, I couldn't remember what that was. Sorry, but I think that Alyssa winning we were laughing about this on Thursday night show. There's no way she did it. She won the veto, and I'm shocked by that. And today, Tiffany did tell Claire that she was warning her, you're going to be the replacement nominee. Now, I didn't see this conversation until I was made aware it was happening, so I missed the big bulk of it. But I did see after Claire left the room, and Tiffany was talking to the cameras about how, she had to approach this telling the truth, but it was kind of like she had to do it telling a half truth, if that makes any sense. And when she was talking to the cameras and everything, I really kind of understood. Pokemon, I know there's no R in Tiffany. Thursday night show, we were all tripping over words, and Beth kept calling her Tiffany. So we're just having fun. Don't worry about it. But listen, here's the thing. she just like, I know from a mother's point of view, it's something that I can kind of understand as a parent. Sometimes you have to hurt your children no matter how much you love them, because of reasons we can't always explain, and you have to let them down easy, and you can't always tell the truth 100%. You can tell a half truth. So I kind of got where she was coming from, you know, like I could really kind of sympathize with that part of it, but I think it's going to not work in her favor. I think it's going to come back unless she says something in her goodbye message, because Tiffany needs to understand that Sarah Beth is in the jury house and she's already lost her. So, you know, she keeps bringing up, I sent Sarah Beth home. No, you didn't. You sent her to jury. That is the biggest pet peeve of mine, is when they start talking about, I sent somebody home. No, you didn't. You sent them to jury, and you're going to have to earn their vote.
And it's not even, Allison, that
Pokemon, I love you. I wasn't calling you out or anything. Go ahead, Dave.
It's not even that she's the decision that she made, right? Okay, she decided to win HOH. That's fine. She's got to put up Claire. That's fine. I believe the way that she's going about putting up Claire is wrong. She is not owning the cookout. She is not fessing up to the cookout. She's not saying anything this other alliance exists. At this point in the game, I feel like she needs to start owning this to do one of two things. One, she needs to start building that jury equity that you were just talking about with Claire. This is why I'm doing it. Claire's not a dumb person. Claire's a very socially responsible person that I think would understand the greater message that is coming from this move.
Oh, yes.
From what's happening. Claire would more than others. But two, she needs to use this also to create some dissension between Alyssa and Xavier, just like is being created right now. Alyssa at this point in time needs to know about the cookout. The cookout being quiet only benefits one person and one person only at this point, and that is Xavier. And so I feel that not only the move is bad, but how she's going about the move is bad also.
Well, I also want to like put a little asterisk in that, Andrew, because like we're getting these jury segments of like Derek X and Brittany being like, what about this alliance structure? Like basically like pinning the cookout. So like, but it's not just Kyland's like cryptic goodbye messages. There have been interviewers that are basically spilling the cookout to these jurors going into the jury. That's really pissing me off.
Yeah,
that should be somebody's like great reveal, considering like how historic of an alliance this is. But like the fact that like Derek X had like no idea, to the point where like he didn't play in the high roller room, and then like once he gets to jury, he's like, oh, Brittany, you're so smart. That makes a lot of sense. No, like we saw some like interviews where like they basically like point out the cookout for him. So that's just very frustrating for me that like it like even if Claire doesn't find out about the cookout until like in jury, it's probably not even going to come from Tiffany or anybody in the cookout. It's going to be production. It's frustrating.
I agree, but I feel like Tiffany is missing a golden opportunity by not revealing that. Almost a Brittany scenario with the brigade, which was talked about earlier. I think that's what's kind of missing, and her opportunity to use that strategically. And speaking of beauty and strategy,
here we go again.
Sorry,
with Tiffany.
Kim Matina enters a room, and I just lose the ability.
Oh my goodness, Kim! So I saw in the chat that you had so much to say that you couldn't type it out. So I was like, "Girl, let's get you on the show."
I've got shit to say, and my fingers are not fast enough for this tonight.
Let's hear it.
Where do you want me to start?
Tiffany's HOH. Go.
Okay. Tiffany winning HOH. I do not blame her at all. Nobody wants to get rid of their +1, right? It's only Alyssa and Claire that are left. Alyssa is not playing to help Tiffany. Alyssa is also slightly delusional because she thinks this is a POC thing. She came right out and told Claire, you're the last white person here, and said it in front of Xavier, who was like, what the hell? He freaked out. I can't believe she fucking said that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, she's not thinking in the same, because she's not a part of the alliance. She's not thinking the same way you are, in that I shouldn't say this in front of Claire. You know, you don't point out the obvious, right?
Right.
She pointed out the obvious. Because Claire was like, yeah, I know. Okay.
What a coincidence.
Yeah. So if we want to start with that, we can start with that. Tiffany winning HOH, I don't blame her at all. She didn't win because of what she knew. She won because of what she didn't know. Okay. So she did not know how DF and Xavier have been talking about her, those two specifically. She knew that it was a matter of getting one of the two non-cookout members out of the house. She doesn't want it to be hers. Therefore, sorry, it's Alyssa, right?
Yeah.
And she did the right thing by putting Xavier up, because if she put Alyssa and Claire up together, I think Claire would have gone because of a pissed off Kai, pissed off Xavier, pissed off Azah. You know, they were all salty. They were going to get rid of Claire. And she did the smart thing not to risk that. The night that she won, before she made her initial noms, she and Hannah discussed how to keep Claire safe, right? And how the nominations could look for that to happen. Even more important, though, what Hannah brought up, this is what Hannah brought up to Tiffany, is we need to keep Claire. We need to hope that Claire wins at 7, but we need to cut her at 5. Okay, this is Hannah saying this. And the reason being, because they would get steamrolled by Xavier, DF, Azah being hooked at the hip to DF and Xavier, as well as Kai at that point, as well as Kai, which makes perfect sense. It's the only way to make it a Hannah Tiffany final 2 is to do that. And Hannah laid it out for him, or laid it out for her. And Tiffany's response was, I need to absorb this. I want to sit down on the chessboard tomorrow after nominations and lay it out on the chessboard, which was fine.
You can't do that like after nominations, though. You need to do that before nominations, because it's too late after the noms are set in stone.
The noms wouldn't have changed. The noms were going to be Alyssa and Xavier.
Yeah, that's true.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, no matter what. The question was, how do we get Claire to 5 and cut her then, as opposed to cutting her now? I think this was the biggest strategic mistake I have ever seen in Big Brother. I understand what you're saying, Andrew, that it's for the bigger cause. Okay.
Oh, I agree with the strategic mistake, 100%.
And so in light of the bigger cause, fine. Who cares? Get rid of Alyssa, get rid of Claire, right? But once you get rid of that bigger cause and you're at final 6, now you've got to play a game for $750,000 where Tiffany can't play the next HOH, right? They all want to throw it.
Alyssa and Xavier can.
And get it to Alyssa, who's going to put up Tiffany and probably Hannah, and with the goal to get rid of Tiffany. Therefore, you don't have your cookout 6.
Yeah,
I agree.
You do not have it. She will not be a part of this historic final 6.
And that's what I
It'll
said,
be
Tim. At one point, you
final
have to weigh the two, and she is weighing the two. And by weighing those two, she's picking the mission over the win, and she is taking her game. This week, she has lost Big Brother 100%.
Yeah, but she's not even going to see the final 6.
Agreed.
If Xavier wins, okay, let's put it this way. If Xavier had won HOH Thursday night, do you honestly believe he would have put up Tiffany and Claire with the goal of getting out Claire? Hell no. He wants Tiffany out.
I think that if Claire would have won the HOA veto, I don't think he would have put up Alyssa. I don't think Xavier would have done it.
Oh, Xavier, absolutely. No. No. And so she's not only throwing away the cookout with this move, she's throwing away her game, but she's also throwing away the cookout. They will not be at 6.
Yeah, and I will point out that like this HOH was definitely an exception of Alyssa getting out very early, but like she has come very, very close to winning HOH multiple times this season. And for this final 7 HOH, a majority of the cookout is going to be throwing the hell out of that competition because they all want to be competing in that final 6 HOH to make sure that they are not the first casualty out of the cookout. So it's very likely that Alyssa will be the next HOH.
Well, keep in mind, we do have a double this Thursday. Yep. And, you know, I feel like it's going to be Claire and Alyssa going one right after the other. If Alyssa doesn't win, do you guys really think that given the chance during a double with everything going on that Xavier did win HOH the second, during the double, that he would actually cut Tiffany over Alyssa?
That's spicy. I get like chills thinking about that.
100%
will not win the second. Xavier will not win the first HOH. It makes no sense for Xavier to win that HOH because the target's either Alyssa or Alyssa wins, and there's no way Xavier's the target, right?
Right.
Tiff can't play. Tiff can't compete. Xavier winning this HOH makes just as much sense as Tiffany winning the last one, if not less. Xavier will be the first to throw this head of household competition.
Totally.
Yeah, no. Xavier, 100% is not nominating Alyssa if he's up.
I just don't understand. I know y'all don't blame, you were saying, Kim, you don't blame Tiffany for what she did winning HOH, but what gets me is I can see that too, but also on the other side of it, why would you want to win this HOH and your person Claire goes out? If you had just let Kyland win, you still would have been safe. Claire would have gone out. You wouldn't have to explain anything to anyone. You really wouldn't have any blood on your hands. Why do it again? Why win this HOH again? My mind just can't wrap around it.
She wanted to have her
because
cake and eat it,
she wanted to have her cake and eat it too. Absolutely. The other thing is she's HOH, so she controls the renom, right?
Right.
One out of 6 chance of Alyssa winning against 5 from the cookout plus Claire. Right? If Claire wins HOH, Tiffany still has no blood on her hands. If any of the cookout wins HOH, she really has no blood on her hands. Right? But the 1 in 6 shot was Alyssa winning, and guess what happened?
It's really just shitty luck, unfortunately.
I mean,
it comes down to. But that's the risk you take when you're playing a game that is conflicting against your own like best interest game wise. And like I've said this all season long, you guys, that like Tiffany is the one that's aware that it's going to get to this point eventually where the cause of it all is going to be the downfall of her game. And like we saw that like beautiful picture and story of her mom last week. I wish she, as HOH this week, can look at that picture of her mama who like needs that $750,000 and just hear like, these kids will be okay. You guys have made history. I forgive you if you want to keep Claire and set yourself up for the win, because how wide open would this be if she were to put up Kyland next to Xavier once Alyssa takes herself down? I mean, that's like open and shut. Like either Tiffany or Hannah is probably winning the season, and like how glorious would that be? And people would still be talking about the Cookout as not only one of, if not the best alliance of all time, but also like such an important like cause that's gotten here to this point. Like but I can only say that so much as somebody who's not a person of color. So like there are layers to it that like I will never understand, and I want to make sure that people understand that I respect that privilege.
Oh yeah. I think all of us respect the Cookout, and I feel like at this point we've come this far. We're 3 weeks out, less than 3 weeks out from the finale, and we've got the Cookout. It served its, they have proved it.
Yeah.
It's 100%. So why not go ahead and start trimming the people that you're going to lose against now?
And I also think that like because Tiffany is the one who created the Cookout, I feel like she has the most creative liberty to get out of it like once it's not serving her anymore and like the cause has been made, right? So I just I wish she was playing a little more selfishly, and I understand why she's not, and I think that's very admirable. She's a lot better person than I am, because I would be thinking a little bit more selfishly if I were in her shoes right now. But I hope she gets to play again, and we can see a more cutthroat, selfish game, because I think she can do it, and I think she could do it miraculously. And we would be talking about one of the Big Brother greats, like the next like I feel like she's in the conversation of like a Vanessa type of like character in this game, just in terms of like the whole season's been revolved around Tiffany, and now it's about Tiffany, but it tastes a little past its sell-by date. You know what I mean? It's just so tough for her to get out of.
The one thing I will say is I do think that if there was one person she was going to kind of screw over this week, I think Claire will not vote bitter. I think Claire will be a voter at the end of the week.
And whoever's running Claire's Twitter, great job. Like they are like promoting a lot of resources for like why the Cookout is a fair alliance. I saw my grandmother on my dad's side, my one who's doing okay. And I asked her about the Cookout and what she thought of it, and she was like, "It's not a fair alliance." And I was like, "Well." I disagree with that.
Did you see the tweet from her mom today? I gotta find it.
From Claire's mom?
From Claire's mom?
Claire's mom.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it.
But while we're on the subject of that, do I think that Claire will be a bitter juror? No, I don't think so. I think that Tiffany will more than likely get her vote.
Oh, yeah.
My biggest concern is Tiffany was standing on a moral high ground today of saying, in the name of Jesus, for my son, I have to be honest about this and I have to tell her the truth. The problem was the one pointed question that stood out was when Claire said, "Are you a part of that alliance?" Because she named off Kai, Xavier, Hannah. She also named off Azah and DF. Okay. And Claire point blank said, "Are you a part of that alliance?" And Tiffany's answer was no. So from a gaming perspective, that was such a huge error in judgment. Number one, she just lied in front of her son. And that's going to be on Wednesday's episode. It will be on the episode. So now she's just shown her cards to her son that it's almost hypocritical. It's like, well, you can lie about part of it, but you really shouldn't lie about the rest.
How can you get to the end and claim ownership of the Cookout when you're telling Claire, I'm not a part of the Cookout?
The only thing I can think of is the possibility. Okay, so right now, even though Xavier wants it to be a 4-1 vote, pretty much everyone else wants it to be 3-2. Okay. They realize that Hannah and either Kai or Azah are going to vote to keep Claire. Right. And personally, I hope they get their signals mixed up, make a mistake. Both of them vote to keep Claire as well as Hannah, and 3-2 Xavier leaves. But I'm putting it out in the universe. That's my own personal goal.
Would love that.
Okay. But so they want it, the rest of them want it to be 3-2 because God forbid they go against Xavier. Whatever. He's on my last nerve.
Yeah, but Kim, he hasn't been playing selfishly, and he's sick of Tiffany playing so selfish. He's going to start playing selfish.
Okay, I'm not usually a men versus women. I'm all for team great feeds. I want to see a great winner represent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So within the cookout, my idea of the great winners would be Tiffany, Hannah, Kyland. He's gamed hard.
Yeah.
He bores me to death, but he has gamed hard. So those are the three that I'm going out of the 6 cookout. They would represent and make the cookout proud. The other ones, DF, great social game. You know, everyone loves them, but that's about it. Azah,
on DF.
Azah, great social game, actually really strong strategically. They won't listen to her. She's not commanding enough and not confident enough in what she's saying that they don't listen to her.
Yeah.
But they want to borrow her clothes.
They want to borrow her clothes and stretch out the back zipper. So
I bet that thing would have zipped up, Kim. Have you ever been in that situation? Yeah. I would have. Yeah. I think she was faking that it wouldn't go up.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
I totally understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's the two of them. Azah, Big D, Xavier. What really has he done? He's kind of been a mediator in things, but the bottom line is the only competition he has won was the one HOH, which was thrown to him.
Mm-hmm.
So any of the three of them bringing up HOH wins, I want to upside the head because they're full of shit.
Yes, and we're like pretty like thumbs down on Tiffany right now, but like I do want to zoom out and just understand that like if Claire didn't go this week, she would have gone next week anyway. And she's still like really good with Kyland, especially after last night, if you know what I mean. And Hannah. And I would rather be close with those two people than Derek F and Azah. So
what do you mean, Tyler?
There was some. I mean, if the HOH room's rocking, don't come knocking, I guess is what you can say.
She did over the shoulder face rub over there, and Tiffany made sounds that replicated sexual satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
On her end or his?
On her end.
Oh, well.
And I gotta say, maybe this is why she was so gung-ho on Sarah Beth leaving.
That's the speculation out there. It's like
makes sense, you know. And I hate to like call it like that because it's a little like slut-shamey, but like. I mean, these are two single people who are in the Big Brother house after 60 days, you know, and I don't think it really hurts either of their games to be getting a little bit closer, whatever way and fluids are exchanged. But it's a little personal with Tiffany and Sarah Beth.
I think the difference is the two of them are using. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Andrew.
Tiffany was playing for that 750. She knew she couldn't win it, so she's got to link herself to it.
Yeah.
Okay. The showman says sex. Okay, fine, whatever. The fact that Xavier compared himself and Alyssa to Jack and Annalise. That's pretty much was my expression too. Allison.
I'm sorry. It's the way to me, Kyland and Tiffany are like brother and sister. And I said in our chat earlier, I said her jacking him off is the equivalent of me jacking Tyler off.
Yeah, it just feels very off. That's so true. Like it's like a brother sister relationship.
Yeah.
How old is he? 27?
I think so. He can't be older than 27.
And she's 40.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm, I was 6 years older than my husband when we got married, which is probably why he is 29. Now my ex-husband.
It happens.
Oh, he's 29. Okay. 11 years. That was a 6-year difference. That was actually quite a bit at that age. I am all for cougar relationships as a cougar myself.
I'm a big supporter advocate of it.
But you know what? You kind of have to know where that line is drawn.
Yeah.
Yes. We are going to have the return of the stool.
I hope not.
But I don't think this is the worst thing for their game is what I'm saying is like, I feel like they need each other at this point because, I mean, Xavier called it out in the diary room tonight. Like they're the two members of the cookout that are proven to be like a little more selfish than the rest, right? So if they're like looking out for each other in a game set,
Kyland wasn't selfish.
He was with like Sarah Beth, I think. And that's how it came off. Oh, I see.
And yet he slept in there on the couch while Sarah Beth was in the bed, and the rest of the house speculated what went on. Why were they in there together? So do I think it was the worst thing for their game? Nah, she might have picked up an extra vote there. But do I think it was the best thing? Absolutely not.
Sam, if you're single and Whitney's single, I support the hell out of it. You go get her, girl.
Do your thing, honey.
Joseph says Andrew looks like he's gonna faint.
I just ew.
Yeah.
I really got the ooh factor from this one. But now coming back to today.
Please.
Yeah, let's come back to today. Let's leave last night.
Let's get back to today. Let's not use the word coming back to today.
Okay.
Why not?
Come
on, Andrew. Come on.
So, getting back to today, we now have them all supporting. You got to get rid of Claire. You've got to do it. Mm-hmm. She had no comeback to it last night when she sat outside with DF, with Kai and Xavier. Other than, I'm fine with getting rid of her. What I'm having problems with is how to tell her. And came up with this whole plot. She literally wove a story of what this is. Now, the only reason, and I brought it up earlier, the only reason I think she may not even know why she's doing this. Okay. She may not, but to her benefit, if for some reason wires get crossed and it's a 3-2 vote and Xavier leaves and Claire is still in the house, she did not include herself as part of that alliance.
Yeah.
And therefore, possibly Claire will think she's not part of the alliance. I don't see anybody else saying that she is and outing her because they do not want to out the cookout. They do not want Alyssa to realize that she's POC, but not Black. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. And that's been a point of contention with Derek X when he was in the house as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, yeah.
Andrew, I liked your theory that you had in like the chat with us earlier about like what Tiffany should do at the veto ceremony. So let's hear your. I want you to present that idea here.
Yeah, and I kind of touched on it earlier briefly. Tiff needs to come out and say the cookout exists in the ceremony. Everything that Kim just said they don't want her to do is what Tiffany needs to do. She needs to stand up and she needs to, if she's truly going to go through with what the cookout wishes, she needs to stand up and say, I'm playing this game for a bigger purpose, but I'm not the only one that was a part of this. This decision is not coming from me. It's coming from 5 other people in this room, and link Xavier into that. So Alyssa can
100.
then have that light bulb moment of, oh shit, I screwed up and I'm not a part of this any. That creates dissension with Alyssa and Xavier moving forward. And Xavier then has to pick, okay, do I tell this to Alyssa and keep her on, or do I go on with the cookout? That move right there can do one of 2 things. It can sway Alyssa into a possible Tiffany side, or it can completely piss the cookout, making Xavier the key target over Tiffany if he still tries to kind of go to this side of Alyssa. So at this point in time, the only person that benefits from the cookout not being revealed, if Claire is truly leaving, is Xavier. And
Exactly.
They get on a level playing field, and Tiff needs to come out and say, this
It
is
won't
what
happen.
it is.
It's not going to happen, though. Is it?
I don't think it'll happen there, but I think it could happen sometime in the next 3 days.
Yeah, it very well could. And
Which is a mistake.
sadly, Andrew,
Huh?
like I think that. Sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
No, that's a mistake. Because if she was going to do it, she should have done it to Claire tonight. Now, if she does it in the next 3 days, she's now lied to Claire, right?
Yep.
Like, she needed to shut up, not say anything to Claire until the veto ceremony, and then make this her higher mission, revealing everybody that was involved in it. But the fact that tonight to Claire, when Claire asked her, was this an alliance? And she said no, she has killed that momentum and killed that opportunity without pissing off Claire.
And
She should not have lied to Claire.
Yeah, I'm so like, but it was like I was.
So, go ahead, Allison.
No, I was just saying, Kim, like before you got on here, I was kind of explaining, you know, I could, like, from a mother's point of view, there are times when you love your child so much, but you have to lie to them about something because you know it's going to hurt them.
Cookout, right?
And I feel like that motherly side, you know, maybe was trying to kick in. I don't feel like she lied to her to be vindictive or evil or anything. And I feel like Claire is the kind of person that would 100% understand that.
Of course.
Later on down the road. Like, I don't think there's going to be a bitter, you know, confrontation.
I'll disagree on the rest of it because as a mother, yes, you need to sometimes soften the blow.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to say in a roundabout.
But to come right out and lie about it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, when the truth comes out, it hurts more than the initial softening, so to speak.
Yeah,
I 100% agree. My son called me out about Santa. Spoiler, there's no Santa. Why are you watching this if you believe in Santa? That's all I got to say. You know? Yeah, exactly. And he called me out on it, and I tried to lie my way out of it, and he did not buy my shit and called me out on the rest because I tried to tell the kid there was 50 Santas, one for each state, and then there was another Santa that did the other countries, and that's how. And he just looked at me like, "Bitch, what?" Yeah. So I mean, it's just trying to continue the lie, even though, you know, because there's no real way to come back, even if she does make the speech at the veto. Right. I don't, like, if I were Claire, I would have been like, why didn't you tell me this upstairs?
Can we highlight Stephen's comment?
What is it?
This is what I wrote last Thursday, and you can't see it as much, but Tiff will make Frenchie look like the best HOH ever.
Oh my God.
I said that last Thursday.
Andrew, you are predicting the future. I do want to comment like how I see the near future playing out if that like veto theory happens. Like say Tiffany like reveals the cookout at the veto ceremony, right? I feel like the only thing that would change is now everybody in the cookout is actively competing for this upcoming HOH, which is even worse for Tiffany because she can't compete in the next HOH, right?
So then she has no Claire,
and
can't compete,
yes,
and has everybody now competing as opposed to anybody throwing it.
So like you like kind of save Claire's jury vote, like ish. I think she'll still vote for her in the end, but
I do too.
Alyssa's still going to be loyal to Xavier ultimately. Xavier just a couple hours ago was telling Kyland on the feeds, "I'm going to evict Tiffany before Alyssa." So like this is happening. Like the train is coming, and it's not going to stop.
Okay, but he said that in exactly what Hannah presented the first night Tiffany was HOH. He wants to keep Alyssa to F5 and then cut her to make 4 black house guests the final 4, which means you're cutting 1 before 6 and you're cutting 1 before 5.
Yeah.
Okay. And then cutting her at 5. So it's exactly the same plan, except it's Alyssa for Xavier's game as opposed to Claire for Tiffany's game. He thinks this is okay.
Yeah.
But yet they didn't think Tiffany's was okay. So again, I'm not I'm team good feeds, I'm team good strategy, I'm team I want a good winner to represent. And based on that, personally, if he does that, I hope that Alyssa wins at F5 and gets to F2. She's still not going to win against one of the black house guests because the jury numbers are not in favor of that. Okay. But
I'll be back. Right back.
You're good.
Okay. But, and this was a big thing for me. It's like, okay, when you look at the numbers, right now, you've got 3 men and you've got 5 women, 4 women, 5 women, 5 women. You've got 8 right now with 5 votes. There's not going to be a tie, right? You've got a female HOH and you've got a female on the block, going on the block. Now you've got 3 and 3, right? Mm-hmm. You get rid of that one. Now you're down to 7 house guests. If Alyssa wins, okay, so let's say Claire goes right now. Let's say Alyssa wins HOH or Azah or Tiffany or Hannah, right? Now that eliminates 1 vote right there. Mm-hmm. Now you're at 3-3. If you put up 1 female, who controls the votes?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What if you put up 1 female and 1 male? Mm-hmm. Now you've got a 2-2 tie. And depending on who's up there, you got Alyssa as an HOH?
Yeah.
Okay. Bad.
And I feel like Derek F is like the one that's like pushing this like guys versus girl things like the
100%.
most out of anybody in the cookout, because that's like the only layer of this that he understands. But it's 100%. Really cementing things towards like boys versus girls, which is not good for the girls if you're taking out Claire here. If you take out
Claire, which is the whole reason he wants to keep Alyssa as an ally, but the smart move would have been to keep Claire as a number. Mm-hmm. Okay. As an ally, he's going to have a tough time getting rid of her at 5 too. And now you're putting a cookout member into the jury ahead of Alyssa, who goes in and goes, yeah, it was supposed to be 6 from the cookout as the final 6, but they voted me out because I did not follow their command, so to speak. Yeah. And they will taint the jury. And if it ends up with Alyssa and 1 cookout member in the final 2, depending on how they taint the jury, they could end up with a non-cookout winner. And I don't think anybody wants to see that.
I mean, Alyssa versus like Derek F, I could see that happening.
I mean, if I'm
she
voting,
like wins out to get there, you know, that's very impressive.
Even if you vote Derek F, that is the representative of season 23. That is the representative of the cookout, and I would say probably the greatest alliance up to this point in Big Brother. And this is your representative as a winner. which now makes it a joke.
It feels
And
like
I don't
10
want
times
that.
worse is like Casey being like the representative of like level 6 winning Big Brother 20. You know what I mean? It smells like that. If that is the case.
And I think that's going to be really, really bad.
Yeah.
What I love about this season is normally this is the point in time where a lot of us kind of check out. 7, 6, it gets boring. It gets kind of okay. This has been the opposite of that this season.
Yeah.
I was checking out a couple of weeks ago when the cookout was just on this dominant tear. I mean, I was still watching, but I wasn't as invested. Now I'm checking jokers every 3 minutes. I'm watching the feeds whenever I can because now the game is getting to the point where it should be. So I feel like we've had a flip-flop in gameplay this year with the cookout being so successful. And to be fair, I'll say that even I still was watching. I agree with Kim that to this point, the cookout is the best alliance to ever exist because they didn't hold power and they still controlled the game, right?
Exactly.
And that's why we see this so much better than so many other places. There's so many weeks they didn't have HOH and they should have been gone. And I'll even take that a step further. And I think I said this Thursday, Tyler, they're the most obvious alliance that's ever existed. They have a physical feature that can draw them towards being an alliance and still no one has caught on to it. So the fact that they have had those two things and still are able to have a shot at 6 and being together at 8 or even 7 possibly, yeah, they're the best alliance to ever play this game.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing with that, though, is on any other season, okay, so if you take that 6 and put them in 22, 21, 20, keep going, right? They need that alliance to get to the end. This season, I don't think they had to have that alliance because look at DX, it didn't put it together. Sarah Beth didn't put it together. They got clues from their goodbye messages, right? Brittany didn't put it together. Claire, sitting there with Tiffany today. There are 6 Black people, 1 Latino, and you. And was like, wait, you're nominating me? I'm your BFF in here. I'm your number 1 ally. I'm 100% here for you. And you're nominating me? Still not seeing the optic of it. So therefore, I think that casting did a phenomenal job. And I think we would still have a Black winner this year without the cookout. I think they could have done it. There's enough really, really good gamers that could have done it. They could have gotten rid of DF. They could have gotten rid of Frenchie for his chaotic first week. They could have gotten rid of Brent for being problematic.
Yeah.
Right? But I could have seen without the cookout, 100% could have seen a Derek X, Tiffany, Hannah. Hannah's brilliant. Her strategically, I want her mind. So anyway, I'm sorry, Derek X, Tiffany, Hannah, Claire, and probably Kyland, I think would be the final 5 without a cookout. And that's 3 out of 5 Black House guests.
Yeah.
No other season could that have happened, but the gaming has been so strong that it could have sustained that.
Yeah, I agree. And then looking forward to this double eviction, I'm so happy that it is not a triple after all. I really think that production saw all of the shit online and said like, okay, they actually have a point here. So like, thank you production for like listening to us for once. Believe us when we say this is much better for the season and for like good TV, right? Because like we're talking about like Alyssa staying around after next week, but like, realistically, it's probably going to be Claire and Alyssa going on this first double. So we will have a week of like just the cookout in the house, more than likely, and seeing like the fallout of that and what happens with that. So we are getting rewarded for this like slow boil of the season, which I'm very, very happy about.
And we need to point out that Azah really was not riding on Derek F's cocktails. Okay. We need to acknowledge that.
Yes.
My dad texted me a minute ago, and this kind of goes with that whole little mistake. He said, I'm at this social at my country club, and I met this person tonight, and I've been talking to her for 30 minutes, and I've just been having the greatest conversation. And then someone pulls me to the side and tells me she's deaf.
Oh,
What happened?
My dad.
Oh, Dad.
And he texts me. He
Oh.
says, "Yeah, I'm at this social. It's the fajita night in the pool at the country club. I was talking to this woman for like 30 minutes. She was really eating up my conversation. It was great. And then someone pulled me to the side and told me she was deaf."
Sounds like the kind of problem I would have. I have
Yeah.
a question.
yes.
I was listening to y'all and while I was handling my stuff. And listen, here's the thing. Do you think that sorry, I got a little sick, okay? Here's the thing.
My favorite is Kim, who has no idea what was going on.
She has no idea. That is from our watch party of Butt Boy.
Listen, here's
cinematic.
yeah,
masterpiece.
it's a great thing. Listen, do you think that maybe people are kind of onto what's going on, but they're afraid to say anything? They don't want to be the person to point it out because they're afraid of how that will be portrayed, and they don't want to be it misconstrued or mistranslated as racial in any tone.
I would agree with you 3 weeks ago, but Alyssa called it out incorrectly, and Claire today specifically said that she really wasn't aware of anything going on. So
Okay.
yes, 3 weeks ago, I think me and Tyler had a conversation thinking that Claire was actually kind of putting this together. But
Right.
as of today, no, I don't think anybody figured
I
it
think the biggest piece of evidence that they don't know is that Claire won HOH powers anonymously and still
Yeah.
put up Sarah Beth and Kyland.
out.
because
The biggest regret.
Technically,
Yeah.
she could have taken that anonymous HOH, put two cookout members up there together
Yeah.
with a replacement veto, with the veto replacement
Mhm.
being a third cookout member, and
Yeah.
broken them up now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they would still have the majority. And if she looked at it, she would see they've got the majority in the House, even losing one, and they've got the majority in jury.
If she
Okay.
had played it really smart, she would have put it up to make it look like Xavier was saving Alyssa. She very easily
Very
could have used those nominations, overthrown Claire's or Tiff's HOH, put up like a DF and an Azah, making it look like Alyssa was being saved
Right.
and targeted, and very easily have used that to make Xavier look bad.
Yep, exactly. So there's definitely scenarios.
Yeah.
Excuse
And I
me,
will
should
say
say
that I think
scenarios.
So with so many people throwing the final 7 HOH, which is the second HOH in this first double on Thursday, we really could be looking at an Azah or Derek F HOH win.
It's the first HOH. We're at 8 now. We'll be at 7 for the first.
Yes,
HOH.
that's what I mean. Like the final 7 HOH. Sorry. So that final 7 HOH, I could see them two and Alyssa being like the only ones like competing in the competition. So if that's the case, if Derek F or Azah wins, I mean Derek F could put up like Tiffany and Alyssa, and then things could get spicy there. Azah, I think, would put up Xavier and Alyssa together. And I think Alyssa would go in that situation. Yeah, so there's some.
You know what?
What?
Screw Sam Higdon. I'm going to say it right now. We've gotten through this entire episode.
He's like a
without
teenager.
Tyler. Do what?
He's like a teenager.
I don't care. We've gotten through this entire episode without Tyler mentioning BB Can once, and you're going to ask a freaking BB Can question? Like, come on, dude.
Well, at least it's
We've
BB
made
Can,
it
not
this
BB
far.
Can 9. Who's the most underrated BB Can house guest?
The most underrated?
Yeah.
I would say
The entire cast of last season, the season before last.
The COVID cast.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Anthony.
Ah,
Anthony and BB Can 7.
what did you say?
They didn't finish the game. They're all underrated, right?
Yeah, I called it. The
I'm gonna
COVID
say-
cast.
I'll say Kayla from BB Can 6. I think she's underrated. I think she would have been a better winner.
Kayla, oh my God. Kayla played such a good game
That
on
seems so
6.
good.
She
We had a
played
funeral
such a
for
good-
Erica Hill when she got evicted here on my weekly meltdown.
Yeah, we
was so
had a
fun.
funeral and stuff. It was great. And she
Um,
saw it.
Let's see.
I mean, I there's so much more to say
Yeah.
about the events of today and
Yeah.
yesterday and this week and bad gameplay. And I agree with what you're saying, Tyler, about the cause versus $750,000. She's got a high school age son. She's got grandma that raised her. She's got all this family. She's got a business that she could reinvest into. And does the cause outweigh that? At the beginning, 100%. I think until they got to the first member of jury that, okay, you know what? I could go out any week and I'm 100% for it. As soon as they got rid of Derek X,
Mhm.
I think that's where.
Which they didn't have to. They had the votes. just
Which they
putting
didn't
that
have
out there.
to.
Azah voted
Yeah.
to keep him, so they had the votes. Just saying.
Yeah. So I think that there was definitely a shift there where they could have kept Derek X and gotten rid of, who was he up against? Claire.
Claire.
Okay. So then you've got Derek X integrated with them.
Mhm.
Last week it was Sarah Beth, and I don't care who she was up against. I thought that was the right decision. The only one it wasn't good for was Kyland.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This week, Claire wouldn't be in it. Potentially this week would have been Derek X on the block.
Yeah.
Okay. There's just so many possibilities. Think about it. Who was the first two nominees? Alyssa and Kyland.
Mhm.
Right?
Yep.
What if one of them had gone? What if Derek X knew then what he knows now? One of the two of them would have been gone. The entire trajectory of this season
And give
could have
Hannah the
changed.
750,000 if that's the case.
Yeah.
I'll
Wait,
tell you
so
like
Ky-
my dad says, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have
Nuts,
a
we'd
Merry
all have-
Christmas.
Wouldn't we though? So that's why I'm saying though, the trajectory could change right now. And you know what? All it's going to take is Claire possibly sitting down with the chessboard with Hannah and Tiffany and laying out. And no, I know you're shaking your head, Tyler. I agree. I think
too
that
late.
I think that Tiffany's mind is so entrenched in,
Yeah.
even though it's screwing her game, it's so entrenched in the cookout that she won't do it. But they could literally lay out the numbers on a chessboard to say, okay, I get it. I understand what your cause is here. Here's the reality. You are handing over $750,000 to two men that don't give a shit and are going to keep Alyssa.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. It's like
I wish
these
that would
kids
work.
will be okay, and the cause
Yeah.
is still like the.
You've got the winner.
I feel like as a white person, I can't say the point's been made because like that's not what I mean. Like I don't mean it as like okay, we get it, because like I understand that it's like such like an amazing thing, right? But
It really is.
It's like a layer that me as a white person like will never begin to understand. But like I feel like the cookout can take the victory lap at this point.
Right
as
now.
we're
Of
looking
course.
at their individual game.
Mhm.
And I don't think that will take away anything from the cookout is what I'm trying to say.
And
I
I think they're
yeah.
going to get the victory lap at the end too.
Yeah, and that was
Yeah.
the main thing they
Totally.
said. Their main goal was to have an African American winner. That's what Xavier said
Yeah.
in episode 1.
Yep, exactly. And then it became, wouldn't it be cool if we had final two? And then it was, wait, what if we can get final six being the cookout?
Mhm.
Okay. But like I said, with this cast, I honestly believe that 3 out of the final 6 would have been cookout anyway, even without. I think 5 out of the final 6 would have been POC.
Yeah.
I
Totally.
really only think there would be one Caucasian in there.
Mhm.
And it's going to be interesting because Tiffany kept saying, I don't want any regrets. I don't want any regrets. I think Tiffany
Look at
is
this week.
walking away from the cookout with the most regrets. Ultimately, when all is said and
Yeah,
done.
and I hate that. I really hate that because she's the one who created it, and it's hard when you are the one that kind of created this whole thing and it implodes and comes apart and it's on you. It's a hard thing to carry, and I do feel like at this point the cookout can do victory laps. And listen, in the double, if Claire and Alyssa go, guys, you're going to have to start eating each other alive. Don't, and it's okay. I mean, either way, you're going to.
That's what Kai was doing last night, but that's beside the point.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. This is not the worst ejaculation for their games.
What?
You know what I mean? Like,
oh, come on.
They need each other. They need each other, like, once it gets to the 6. And I pray that Alyssa goes next week so, like, we can enjoy the cookout, having to sit in the same house with each other and decide who goes first. Because no matter who ends up getting the boot out of the 6 of them, it's going to be so tough. Like, we're sitting here talking right now about how it's tough for Claire, and we're comparing it to, like, Brittany finding out about the Brigade. We're talking about Keisha finding out about Memphis and Dan's final 2 in Big Brother 10. Mm-hmm. But, like, once it gets to, like, the cookout, like, whoever's going to be the first one out is going to be so crushed. And that's why I'm so high on Hannah, is, like, nobody is gunning for her first, even second out of, like, the 6.
So
how about that winner?
Based on Tyler's comments, I'm gonna give us a joke to bring us out of here.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Okay.
How did the seaman cross the road? My brother put on the wrong sock. Have a great night, ladies and gentlemen.
I thought you were gonna say to get to the other Kai. To the side. I don't know. Your joke is better.
Oh my gosh, Andrew. Okay. And other than that, that's, like I said, I had a lot to say and not a lot of fingers to type with. So
yeah,
it's always great having you on here, Kim.
And like, I agree with everything. I agree with everything everybody said tonight. And one thing that I heard Andrew say was we're kind of bass backwards right now. Normally it's dying down and we're just kind of bored and it's obvious who's going to win. And this is the polar opposite, because now things are going in the opposite direction, and it's like, I don't know who's going to win. I don't know who's going to be in the final 3. Mm-hmm. I have no idea. And we haven't had 2 doubles back to back. And God knows I can't remember when this happened last.
I'm going to take personal credit for that, because
of course you
hear
all the time.
So much
Why
about
not?
It. And I'm glad that they bitched about it on the LFC as much as they have, because I feel like people are listening to probably not this show, but they're listening to that show. And it makes a difference. Like, people like saying online these things and not just being like, oh, well. But that's why, Allison, like, I was so, like, I wasn't here on Thursday, but I was in the chat saying, like, the final 6 HOH is the most important competition of the season. I always say that, like, the final 4 veto is the most important comp of the season, but whoever wins that HOH at final 6 and is presumably the first one to, like, strike within the cookout decides so much for the rest of this game.
Yeah,
100%.
Like, it is so important. And I hope it's an endurance competition. Can we have, like, a pressure cooker for that HOH? Can you imagine?
Oh, I would love it.
Could you imagine, though? Like, that would be the perfect time to do that one.
If you
Not,
were
not
ever
to
going
make
to bring
physical, so
pressure
Derek F
cooker
can't
back.
like leave
We
after a
couldn't
minute and
because
40
the game
seconds.
has to end by what, September 23rd?
Right.
You know what I would like to see? I would like them to bring back the HOH competition like back at Big Brother 2 in 2001 where they all have to cram into a vehicle and stay in there as long as they possibly can. I think
Yeah,
that
that's
would
what I
be
mean. Like something that's not
hilarious.
physical, so like somebody can't leave at like a minute and 30 seconds into the competition.
Oh, listen, I would fart and
It's-
that thing would be cleared out in no time.
It's
People
all
would
a
be
matter of like,
jumping out.
I mean, you've got the bunny hop. How long did they do the bunny hop?
8.5 hours.
8. Exactly.
Wow.
Okay. I don't even think it's so much the competition as it is the people that want to throw it. And I think the only way they can switch that up is your bottom 3 are your nominees.
Yeah.
First 3 out are nominated for eviction. There'll be 2 vetoes handed out. One will stay on the block. And the other 2, you got to win veto to come off the block.
Yeah.
How much would that shake it up? You would very seldom see anybody throw either veto or HOH.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
It comes down to like how bad do you want it, and like
Exactly.
like, I wish, but like it's gonna be something stupid. But
I have a
at
joke.
least it's not a triple.
I have
And
a
you know
joke
what?
to no, go ahead, Kim. What
No, I
you're
was
going to
just
say is
gonna
far
say-
more important than me. I promise.
No, I was just gonna say with the HOH, yeah, holding the key with the HOH comp. That's the one that Andrew was talking about, Sam. Okay, we would not have to listen to Derek F. bitch about his size mattering in that type of comp.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, dude, all you got to do is stand there and keep your hand on the key.
We would have
How
to hear
bad
him
do you
bitch
want
about
it?
something else.
Yeah.
He'll have something else to bitch about.
Something.
But
100%.
yeah, but other than that, I mean, that's really my thoughts on it right now. I would love to see Claire be able to lay out the numbers tonight
Yes.
for Tiffany to see and have Tiffany blindside the cookout with a Kai nomination
It's
to
not
get
gonna
rid
happen,
of Xavier.
Because
Is it going to happen? No.
She's already laid out the numbers with far more information than Claire knows, and she's still saying the cause is more important.
I know. And the other thing is Happy Labor Day tomorrow.
Yeah.
How bad do I want production to give them a grill so they can have a cookout for Labor Day?
Oh,
and
Zingbot.
some alcohol.
They will 100% because it's going to be for
Yeah.
next Sunday's 2-hour episode.
And Zingbot
Mhm.
is coming this week. He's already been there. Oh, right. Has Zingbot
Yeah.
been there?
Yeah,
I
he was
wonder
there
if he gets
yesterday.
the word
Yes.
cookout.
And
I
spoiler
don't-
alert, he called Alyssa stupid, and she doesn't
He called
know why.
Alyssa stupid.
What's wrong with
He
calling someone
called-
stupid?
Something about Derek F's game in the toilet or something.
Derek F's game, he spent so much time in the toilet that's why his game's in the toilet. He called Claire Bigfoot. He made a reference to Bigfoot for Claire. Who am I missing here? Oh. And this set off last night was Azah and I think it was actually a zing about Xavier, not Azah. I don't know which one it was actually for, but basically saying, girl, he's not into you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're throwing yourself at him. And she was so mad about it. She was cooking dinner and he's trying to talk to her and he's like, okay, never mind. I'm not going to touch you. I'll step away. And then an hour later, she's cuddled up in his arms.
But
Kim, I was just about to say, if that influences her to like turn on Xavier, then I'm all for it. But
Yeah.
of course.
It was Azah, they
Of course.
said. It
But
was
when
Azah.
she cooked
Yeah.
dinner,
Thank you, Kenya.
dinner, was there a fire in the oven?
No, there was definitely some flames brewing, but not in the oven. Not at all.
on that note, I'm gonna tell my joke.
Okay,
And
let's
we're
hear
gonna wrap this up real quick because everybody's really gonna want to get out of here. This is the first joke I ever taught my son, and he's gonna pass it down to his son. So, what did the bug say to the windshield?
Oh, I already know this, so I won't say it.
That's me all over. Good
Oh,
night, everybody. Make sure you.
wait.
My punchline was, "You're not going to have the guts to do that again."
What was the last thing the bug saw when he went through the windshield? His ass.
I have another really good one, but I'm going to save that for off air because it's not appropriate for this show.
Okay.
Oh,
One,
what? Hold on a second.
oh,
What?
I
How
can't
dare
wait.
ye? What's not appropriate? This shows I've been in so
Listen,
far down
Andrew
in
is
the
a
gutter.
professional. He
Oh,
and we are not in the gutter, please.
We are the
my
gutter.
joke would bring us into the gutter.
We've already talked about how hard things have been in the show.
how hard things have been in the HOH room.
How hard
Okay.
things have been. Yeah.
Subscribe to us on Apple.
Yes. Wait, sorry, there's one more thing I want to bring up is that my tweet is aging like fine wine over
Oh,
here.
here we go. Humble
This
as
is
ever.
my boot list for the rest of the season. And I was a little worried with Tiffany being HOH.
Follow
that,
us on
Claire and Alyssa-
Spotify, Apple.
Look how viral he is. 3 likes.
Hey, if you want a viral tweet, bring up my one against Derek Levine.
Oh God! Here we
Follow
go.
us on Spotify.
And Allison's draft team is complete after.
Don't sleep on C. Let me tell you something. There is a chance. There's always
Never know.
a chance.
But Andrew's got the Hannah pick on his. That's the winner.
Yeah, and
That's
Xavier.
from my,
God
my
help
bestest
us
friend
all.
in the whole wide world, Kim Bettina.
Andrew, you're welcome.
All right. Well, I'm
We're never
gonna.
gonna hear the end of it of Andrew Gibson, the hustler himself.
Yeah.
Wins by
Wins
my
Big
plus
Brother
one for the
23.
hustler, Kim Bettina.
That's right.
There you go.
His +1.
That's right.
All right, guys. Well, everybody have a great rest of your night. We'll be back on Thursday to talk about the first of 2 double evictions. So we'll see whose draft team has taken not only 1 hit but 2 hits potentially. We'll see. But everybody have a great rest of your night. Kim, thank you for joining us as always, and Andrew as well. Thank you.
Thank you for the invite.
Of course, you're welcome anytime. All
Appreciate.
right. Have a good night, guys. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, guys.